There was nothing about being awake that appealed to her anymore. Not eating or drinking, not work or play, not bathing, not a bird in flight or a sunset or a smile or the sensation of her fingertips moving over old leather. She was very, very old. She'd cut up 2 husbands, not personally, of course. Someone had volunteered to do the actual chopping, left the chunks out for scavengers to take, and the sun to bleach white. Children from each man present for the ceremony. It was good to see them. The next body to be dealt with, she felt quite certain, would be her own. She didn't envy the poor jerk who got stuck with the dismembering job. The way her joints felt, they'd need a quarryman to get the job done. And the vultures, and the dogs, what would they think about the prospect of feasting on her tough old hide? Maybe she'd end up sniffed at, passed over, and mummified. She spent more and more of her time asleep, but it wasn't the sort of sleep she craved. Too shallow, napping, dozing, treading around the edges of dreams. She knew that in those dreams her husbands waited for her. They waited with her parents and a stillborn daughter, probably a dozen cats. Well, no, that was awfully conceited. They weren't waiting for her. She wasn't special. They were just there and would be there when she crossed over. In the dream, there is no waiting at all. No before or after. Things just are. Events are just happening. How she longed to slip into that. Her crinkled eyes swiveled from sunlight to shadow. Each breath was labored, shallow. Her mouth was very, very dry. Her family had stopped trying to get her to eat or drink 2 days ago. This was her way out, and they knew that. She wasn't the sort to leap into a crevice or go poking about for poisonous creatures. She was the sort who held on even when she wished something would make her let go. She'd never have succeeded if she had to actively refuse food and water. Just lying there, not reaching for anything on the tray. That she could do. Nodding when people tut-tutted until they figured out what was happening. That she could do. She ran her palms over the bed sheets and lifted the pattern away. Sighed. Rubbed in the faces of her dearest ones. She couldn't see what she'd made, but making those faces comforted her. Visitors might come. They'd want to see she'd been active. She hadn't any voice since sunrise. That had to mean something. She wound up every thread of her remaining strength, left pain behind, and settled into the dream. It was delicious. A small, scared voice called, "Who is that?" A mouse. A mouse. "I am your mother's mother's mother, dear one. But I do not know what mother is. No, but you will. She will be here by and by to love you." The mouse considered that for a moment, hour, week, year, and simultaneously understood. My mother is all around me. She is. In the waking world, here she will no more be around you than I. My mother doesn't talk to me here, like you now. That's a very large thing to do for your mother. To meet you in dream. She wishes to, I'm sure. I know I'm sure, but trust me, it is a very large thing to do. You are very large. She laughed and laughed. I always was. Oh, the trouble I've made, being so large. Why can't I see you in the waking world? It's cruel, I know, in the waking world. befores and the afters. I never liked them, except sometimes. Do tell me. Sometimes there is this thing we call anticipation. In the waking world, your mother will be anticipating you. I know she is. She told me so just yesterday. Yesterday? It doesn't matter. She rubbed her belly and she told me, little ones. She anticipates you. Somewhere her limbs were separated from her torso, set out, even as she was set free.